Bankfoot is a village 6 miles north of the city of Perth in Scotland. It stands on the edge of the Perthshire Highlands. It was once on a major route between Perth and Inverness. Now Bankfoot is much quieter, as nowadays the modern A9 road bypasses close by. Before the new road, all the traffic journeying north or south would pass through the village, which until 1811 was known as Ochtergavin, taken from the Gaelic upland of the yearling cattle. On the south side of the village stands the Bankfoot Inn, which since its construction in the 1760s has been a place where weary travellers can get rest and refreshment for both themselves and at one time their horses, with stables to the back of the inn. In 1764, local Jacobites, supporters of the exiled Stuart monarchs of the UK, bought the inn for a local family, presumably also Jacobite. It is not hard to imagine secret meetings and discussions in the inn, planning to overthrow the king in London, followed by a toast to the king over the water, the Jacobite king in exile. During the Second World War, the Bankfoot Inn was used as accommodation for army officers, and then children evacuated from the cities also stayed in the buildings. In April 2024, my wife and I were asked by the owners of the Bankfoot Inn if we could find out if it was definitely haunted. There had long been stories that this was a very active site. A paranormal group had already investigated a few years previously, and they picked up a ghostly woman, a little girl, and something they referred to as the Thing. The hotel's website also talks of the building's ghosts, and while one of the owners definitely believed that the inn was haunted, the other one was not so sure. We were hoping to have a group of Americans stay in the inn later that year, and they are interested in anything paranormal. We wanted to make sure that the Bankfoot Inn would be active enough for this group. My wife and I turned up on the evening of the 13th of April 2024. We had been put into one of the most haunted rooms. We arrived and booked in, and then went up the stairs to our room. As we settled in, I decided to go and get some fresh milk. As I left the room, Lynn put the kettle on. As she did this, she pottered about unpacking our equipment. She was talking to herself out loud. I think she was a bit on edge. After all, this was one of the most haunted rooms. As she did this, she was talking on her iPhone. I came back, and as I walked into the room, she asked me if I wanted a cup of tea. Immediately after this, we picked up a female voice. We went downstairs to the restaurant to have a meal. The Bankfoot Inn is very tastefully done, with a nice blend of traditional and quirky. The walls have been stripped back to the stone, so you do get the feeling that you're in a very, very old building with lots of history. We had a lovely meal in a busy restaurant. As I ate, I wondered about all the other people down the years who'd stopped here for a bite to eat, drink and get some rest before carrying on with their journey. In the 17th and early 1800s, only the better off would be able to afford a room for themselves. Travellers would be required to share a bed even with people they did not know. Others would pay for a meal and sleep around the fire. The phrase bed and board or boarding house meant you were given a board to sleep on, usually a folding table. Most people would travel on foot. Only the rich owned a horse, and the very rich a carriage. In winter the roads would be little more than mud tracks, often impassable, and dry and dusty in the summer months, meaning it was often easier to transport goods along the coast by ship. Perth is a city often referred to as the gateway to the Highlands, and the Bankfoot Inn would see commercial travellers, post coaches, soldiers, farmers going to the Perth markets, and Highland cattle drovers taking cattle south come through its door, glad of a hearty meal, a warm fire, and a wee dram on a cold, wet Scottish night. After our meal, When the restaurant was empty, we set up our equipment and started our investigation. This is the oldest part of the inn, and we immediately had some activity on our EMF meters. The one placed on the bar was constantly flashing all the way to the red. One of the bar staff told us that sometimes the beer signs on the pumps will fly off, but what is strange is they do not fall forward and round onto the floor, but they fly backwards to the bar side. The same lady told us that often when she's working behind the bar, glasses will be knocked out of her hand by some unseen force. It's not like they slip and fall, it's almost like they're physically knocked out of her hand. There are 3 bells in the 2 bars, 1 in the restaurant side and 2 in the public bar, and often a bell will be heard ringing when there's no one down on the ground floor. One evening, a couple were having a meal. The lady told the bar staff that she was a medium, and as they ate, she was watching a Victorian lady sitting at the end of the bar, watching the staff. When the bar is shut for the evening and the staff are cleaning, often a mop and bucket will be put down in the corridor between the 2 bars. When somebody goes to retrieve this mop and bucket, it will be moved. The staff spoke of feeling that the restaurant area felt busy even when there was no one there. Well, no one that could be seen. Both staff members stated that when they were working in the public bar, they felt the need to check the restaurant, the oldest part of the building, just to make sure no one was there, even when the main door was locked, the only access to that area. Cold spots were also felt, with one bar being colder than the other. Both ladies stated that they didn't like coming back into the building after they'd shut for the night. We picked up the presence of a man in the restaurant and a small girl. Lynn tried to communicate with these entities using dowsing rods and EMF meters, asking yes or no questions, with the usual stay on green for no and go into the red for yes. We were told by the man that he was killed in the inn during a fight. I have tried to find any information on this, but so far have been unable to. Other strange happenings in the Bankfoot Inn take place up the stairs, in hotel bedrooms. One of the staff told us she hates going up these stairs. She gets a really bad feeling, a feeling that she's been followed or watched as she makes her way up the staircase. A maid is sent to haunt the bedroom area in the corridor. In one bedroom, the staff were getting ready to appear on Channel 4's 4 in a Bed. Every effort was made to make sure everything in the hotel was perfect. Several members of staff were tidying and cleaning this bedroom. They were about to leave the room when a member of staff noticed a big handprint on the bed. All present were sure that the handprint was not there, or not put there by any of them. They'd been extra careful. The lady telling me the story had said she'd spent 10 minutes ironing the bed, so if somebody in the room had put their hand on the sheet, it would have been noticed. In another room, taps would just start running for no apparent reason. One staff member was cleaning this room when suddenly both taps just started running. I have spoke to the owner and he verified this story and said he had looked at the taps, even going as far as to replace the complete set of taps, but that has made no difference. The taps will still start running in this room, turned on by some unseen hand. When we had finished our investigation downstairs, we made our way back up to our bedroom. We set up EMF meters around the room and put a cat ball in the bathroom. Our meters in the bedroom were constantly going off. The cat ball in the bathroom also started to flash. Lynn waited until it had stopped and then asked for Spirit to make it flash again, and on cue it started flashing. Later, when we were packing our stuff away, I walked right up to the cat ball and it did not start to flash until I picked it up. At about 3 a.m, we heard footsteps pass our bedroom door. Now, there were other guests staying in the hotel, so it could have been one of them walking past the room. But what is strange is there be nowhere for them to go. There is only one room that's not en suite, and that's at the end of the corridor. There's a bathroom in the middle of the floor, so anyone coming from that room to use the toilet would have got to the bathroom before they got to our bedroom. There was nothing at all past our room, just the stairs going down to the bar, where the door at the bottom of the stairs was locked. After an eventful night and a little bit of sleep, we got up the next morning and went downstairs for breakfast. We were joined by one of the owners. After telling him what we had experienced, he wanted to tell us some strange stories reported by guests. One visitor to the hotel, who slept in the same room as we did, reported waking up in the middle of the night. She saw a ghostly woman leaning over the bed, her face almost touching the face of the guest. A member of staff working in the laundry kept hearing someone call her name, only to find out that there was no one around. The owner stated that he often sees a black shadow in the corner of the restaurant. Another very interesting story took place at Hogmanay in 2023, when 4 guests were staying at the Bankfoot Inn. After having a meal and a couple of drinks, one couple went up to their room. As they were about to enter the room, the woman turned round and saw a female dressed in white standing in the corridor looking at her. The guest shouted "Good night" to this woman, who ignored her, before going into her room. The next morning this guest was down having breakfast, and did not see this other woman. The guest mentioned to the staff about this woman, and was told there was no other guest staying in the hotel that night. The manager asked the guest to show him what room this woman had entered. When the guest took the owner up the stairs, she pointed to the room that is used for laundry. Well, that is the Bankfoot Inn, a location that we think is definitely haunted. Not only have the current owners and staff stories to back this up, we did experience some strange happenings during our stay. The female voice we picked up in our room, EMF meters showing strong readings, and the cat ball in the bathroom. Lynn, who's not psychic but does have a gift, she reads angel cards, picked up a man and a wee girl downstairs. So, if you're looking for a traditional inn with good food and bags of atmosphere, where things may well go bump in the night, then I highly recommend the Bankfoot Inn.